Donald Trump and his co-president, Elon Musk, yes, co-president, have a lot in common. The corruption, the criminal investigations, the ego, but maybe most of all, just how incredibly easy it is to get under their skin. Plenty of Democrats know how to do it, but for Trump, there are two names that absolutely drive him off the rails: Barack and Michelle Obama. Nothing sets him off faster. For Elon Musk, though, it's Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. And no one gets to Elon quite like he does. Last night, Walz was at it again. During an interview on MSNBC, not only did he take direct aim at Elon, tearing apart his nonsense, but he also dropped an election bombshell that is clearly sending Trump into panic mode. We're going to break down exactly what happened, but before we do, a quick ask. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and hit that subscribe button. It really helps more people find this, and it means a lot. Now, let's start with the moment that sets this whole thing up. Here's part of that interview with Governor Walz.
Ask you about Wisconsin last night. You know, you had this. You were in Wisconsin ahead of this race. Susan Crawford, who was sort of endorsed by progressive, center-left Democratic Party. It's a nonpartisan race, but she won by 10 points against the Trump-backed candidate. You said that to give you a little boost, you'd put the Apple ticker with the Tesla stock on your phone. And this really, Elon Musk got very upset about this. He genuinely seemed like emotional in an interview about this. I want to just play. He just really got in his feelings about this. I want to play this for you and get your response.
You had Tim Walz, who's a huge jerk, running around on stage with a Tesla stock price, where the stock price had gone in half, and he was overjoyed. What an evil thing to do. What a creep. What a jerk. Like, who derives joy from that?
Are you a creep and a jerk?
Well, that's a badge of honor if he thinks I am. Look, it's not personal with him. It's a little bit personal. I don't want to be disingenuous. The guy does bother me. It's a little bit personal. But look, my beef on this is that this guy is out there crying about his portfolio and about stock while I'm making, a comment. And my mom's Social Security check this month is late. That he's attacking the portfolios of working Minnesotans and working Americans who've paid into these programs that he calls a Ponzi scheme. He's taking it and laughing with his chainsaw about destroying the lives and undermining things and institutions that make life better for Minnesotans. Of course, he doesn't care about these agencies because he has all this money. Can you imagine being the richest man in the world and taking offense that I said something about Tesla stock? Look, if I'm Donald Trump won Wisconsin. I'll give him that. But he's sharing his presidency and the White House and who knows what else with this guy who's a loser, who lost. This guy's really bad at this. He made the case that everything hinged on this. And I just want to give a shout out to the folks in Wisconsin, to Ben Wickler, to, of course, Justice-elect Crawford, and to the people of Wisconsin who you said this right, Chris. This was a referendum on, does democracy stand, or does oligarchy and a king make the difference? And this was a referendum on Elon Musk, and by extension by Donald Trump. A 10-point win in Wisconsin is an absolute massacre. Remember, this was a 1-point race in November. So I am angry with this guy. I'm glad he's irritated with me. He's a bully. He's picking on people that can't speak up. He's undermining the basic tenets of this country, all so that he can, an unelected oligarch, run things. It's outrageous. And look, if Donald Trump wants to continue to hang around with him, I certainly think the DNC should think about hiring Elon Musk and send him to every race that we're in, because we will win. We will win.
Well, today we got this news, right? There's all this sort of whispering behind the scenes that Musk is going to go back to the private sector. He's going to leave the White House. This is NBC News. Trump told the cabinet members he'll leave his government role in the coming months. To your point about that, I mean, there was a race last night. There were two statewide races. There was a superintendent of educational instruction statewide race. Again, like the judicial race, nonpartisan. The Democrat won that by 5 points. The Musk race, the one where he's donning the cheese head and handing out the novelty checks and all eyes on me, he's the front face of it. It looks like he cost him 5 points. 5 points is a lot. Like that's actually an impressive amount that you have repelled voters single-handedly. I haven't seen that really before.
Yeah, and I think, look, it's his it's his toxic personality to begin with, but it's what you said was, and this is what's encouraging to me. This is what the big thing. Look, this judge didn't want to be in a partisan race. You can tell that Judge Crawford is not one of those people. This is about rule of law, but she had to because of that they made this the referendum, and it was very clear that as he thrust himself into the middle of this, it made a difference. But you're absolutely right, and I do think that race for state superintendent with Superintendent Underly, that's a big deal because her opponent was a Moms for Liberty person. So this was an attack on the idea of public schools, an attack and advocating vouchers, book bans, things like that. So Wisconsin, the pinnacle swing state, did swing, and it swung hard in a direction of defending democracy, defending public schools, defending the rule of law. That should be encouraging. And I think the thing I have been saying, and the reason I'm out there, I'm doing these town halls, whether it's from Texas to Nebraska to Wisconsin, because those members of Congress are rightfully afraid to go and defend this because they knew that this was going to be the result, and now they're going to be tied to it.
Tim Walz nailed it right at the end of that interview. He called it like it is. Elon Musk has a toxic personality, and here's the thing. Musk is single-handedly swinging these races in favor of the Democrats. Whether it's 2, 3, or even 4 points, maybe 5 at the high end, it's because of Musk's involvement. He tried to buy the election with his billions, but here's the kicker. His billions backfired. It's a classic case of money can't buy everything, especially when the voters don't want their voices drowned out by the likes of Elon Musk. Now, sure, there are people who might want to be bought by Musk, but they're not enough to make a dent in these elections. We've seen the results in Wisconsin, and it's a clear sign. And here's the reckoning Trump's facing right now. He's going to have to part ways with Musk, and that's going to be a tough pill for him to swallow. In fact, just take a look at this article right here. Trump privately indicates Musk to step back from administration after government employee status expires. Musk's looming exit comes as some Trump administration insiders and many outside allies have become frustrated with his unpredictability and increasing view that the billionaire is a political liability, a dynamic that was thrown into stark relief Tuesday when a conservative judge Musk vocally supported lost his bid for a Wisconsin Supreme Court seat by 10 points. Now, sure, Elon might say he's leaving the White House, but let's be real, I don't actually think that's gonna happen. He'll still have his office, he'll still be showing up. Why? Because the White House is the perfect place for him to steal our tax dollars and continue his power grab. But here's the thing, Musk's devastating loss in Wisconsin, it's not the end for him. He's been very vocal about it. He's already gearing up for the midterms, and if he gets his way, those midterms are going to spell disaster for Donald Trump. Why? Because we're going to carry this powerful anti-oligarchy message into 2026, and it's going to win us huge victories across the board. Just look at Wisconsin. You don't think that after 2 full years of Trump shredding Social Security, Medicaid, and the most essential programs to finance a massive tax cut for Elon and his billionaire buddies, people are going to vote against him even more? I guarantee it. The voters are going to show up strong, especially with the economic hardships Musk and Trump have caused. And don't forget, it's not just Musk. Trump's disastrous tariff plan is wreaking havoc on governors across the country, and Tim Walz had a lot to say about that in this clip right here.
You're right, and I think here in a week or so I'm going to be up in Toronto meeting with some of the premiers as we talk about this. Look, they are our largest trading partner, followed by Mexico. These are folks that we have had relationships since the founding of Minnesota. It matters greatly, and what we understand is that these are fair trade deals that were negotiated fairly, and the real irony of this is the folks who supported Donald Trump, some of the working folks, the farmers, the miners in northern Minnesota, 650 miners were just laid off in taconite mining. Our farm community is on pins and needles because of these tariffs. And then when you go to war with Canada, whether it's energy or whether it's potash for fertilizer, these are fundamental inputs that are going to already drive up costs on very narrow margins. So yeah, it is almost inconceivable. Look, Chris, I don't know. You almost have to be an amateur psychologist on this. It's like Trump is stuck in the 80s. His music, his clothing, his thinking. He has been on this tariff thing forever, and every economist, conservative or liberal, will tell you they just simply don't work. We use them strategically, but he doesn't fundamentally understand how trade works. It goes back to what I continue to say. I think the biggest myth perpetuated on this country is that Donald Trump understands anything about business. He's bankrupt every single one he's been into, and now he's bankrupting this country. So I appreciate you talking about this. This is a tax on working people that we've not seen in any of our lifetimes, and it is going to have dramatic effect.
You know, there two follow-ups I want on that. One is, you know, you're in a state, it elected you governor, but you represented a district that actually voted for President Trump in 2016 that had a lot of Republicans when you were in Congress. You've spent a lot of time talking to folks in Minnesota, and again, there's, you know, it's not quite a swing state, but it's close enough. Have you ever encountered in the wild, I mean, really, just like out of the mouth of someone at a doorstep or a diner, like, I hate those Canadians who are ripping us off. We got to get back at them. Have you ever, I'm asking this. Have you ever,
no,
independent of President Trump, encountered that view in the wild?
Never. And I think, you know, it could be a bit of a stereotype or whatever. I find that it is about as close to any stereotype of being true. The decency of Canadians and the neighborliness and the being there.
It's almost like two people named KLA Harris and Tim Walz were warning us about the tariffs, about Elon, about Trump, about JD, about the rest of their cabinet, and not enough people listened. Oh God, and that's a tough, but we still have to fight, and I'm glad that Tim Walz is in this fight. I'm hoping to see more of Kamala Harris. I'd love to see a red state, red district.
Well, let's be clear that the Trump administration resulted in a trade deficit, one of the highest we've ever seen in the history of America. He invited trade wars. You want to talk about his deal with China? What he ended up doing is, under Donald Trump's presidency, he ended up selling American chips to China to help them improve and modernize their military, basically sold us out, when a policy about China should be in making sure the United States of America wins the competition for the 21st century, which means focusing on the details of what that requires, focusing on relationships with our allies, focusing on investing in American-based technology so that we win the race on AI, on quantum computing, focusing on what we need to do to support America's workforce so that we don't end up having, on the short end of the stick, in terms of workers' rights.
Red City, read anything. Town hall out of the vice president. I think that bring a lot of attention that we need to bring to a lot of issues. We're certainly going to be bringing attention to as many issues as we possibly can on this show every day. And if you want to support that, as you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video. And if you stuck around at the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments.